And it's back to the Horror Guys. It's episode 204.
204 of the Horror Guys, and I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
We're going to talk about horror movies. Specifically, it's Jeepers Creepers week.
It is.
And since we talk about 4 movies, and there's 4 Jeepers Creepers movies, that's a perfect
That
fit.
works out about right, don't it?
It does.
Last week we did Cabin Fever. This week is Jeepers Creepers. Next week it'll be something else.
It probably will. Yes.
All right. As always, the show is brought to you by the Horror Guys Guides. Go to horrorguys.com/books or horrorguysshop.com and pick up some books.
Buy them all.
Yeah, it's all kinds of good stuff there.
Collect them all.
And I have noticed on Facebook some other podcasts are doing like Christmas episodes where they review Christmas horror movies.
We did that last year.
We did all of them last year, I think.
We didn't do all of them. They keep making more.
Last December, we did 31 Days of Christmas, where we did 31 different Christmas movies. So you can go to horrorguys.com, go back to December of 2022, and read through all those. Or
2021. This is 2022.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes. Wrong year.
Yeah.
Time traveling. It's wonderful on the internet.
It is.
Or you can go to the January 2022 issue of Horror Bulletin Monthly and pick up all the Christmas movie reviews.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, 31. That's a lot of Christmas movies.
There's a lot more that we didn't see, too.
Oh, yeah. We could have probably done it this year, too, but that's an awful lot of Christmas movies. I had enough last year for a while.
Next year, maybe.
Yeah, they're still making more.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and over at our newsletter site, horrorbulletin.com, we did all the Jeepers Creepers movie this week, as well as 2 other ones. What were they?
Skinamarink. A brand new, I will call it a movie, from 2022. And Munster Go Home, a classic sort of Munster from 1966. This was the TV series, if you recall, that was in black and white. And this was a full-length movie, and the first time they appeared in color.
And boy, was it colorful.
And it is really colorful. And now Rob Zombie's movie makes more sense with his color schemes and how he used lights in the background, colored lights.
It was done very much in the same way as this one.
That's how they did this movie. I didn't realize that. I'd never seen them in color before like this. That was fun. Skinamarink was not so much fun. It was also brightly colored, dim, but
I wouldn't call that brightly colored.
Oh, there were many colors.
Blue and black.
Well, dark, dingy colors, but colors.
But to hear our full review of Skinamarink, go over to horrorbulletin.com and sign up for the newsletter there. It's free. Just go over, or you can just read it on the website. It's fine. Or if you're on the signed up for Horror Bulletin, we get our bonus podcast where we will talk about Skinamarink next weekend. We do that every other weekend. Spoilers, we hated it.
Pretty much.
Boy, if there was an award for worst movie of the year, I think that's going to be it.
That might be it so far. Yeah.
And some people say it's the scariest movie they have ever seen.
I think we're being trolled.
I think so. I think that's publicity or something.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, 3 years ago on the show, we talked about The Mad Doctor of Market Street.
A madcap comedy.
No.
Oh, by the title, though, it just sounds like it.
The Mad Doctor.
Like Mr. Magoo Adventure or something.
No, if I remember right, he was like freezing people to death and for cryogenics or something.
Oh, not so funny.
Revenge of Frankenstein.
That was a pretty good one.
That was a good one. Chaos AD. I think it was a sci-fi horror movie that had literally no sci-fi or horror in it till the very, very end.
Yeah, it was strange.
Didn't care for that one too much.
But it was just okay, yeah.
And Berberian Sound Studio.
That one was really cool.
It doesn't feel like it's been 3 years since that one.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. That was another one where really nothing happened, but it was good.
But it was really good. And what's the Toby Jones?
Toby Jones, yes.
Yeah,
he's always fun.
Yeah, he's always really good. He was just really good in that. He made that movie, I think. A lot of it was...
It was him,
I credit to him, yeah. But yeah, what a weird movie.
And you can go listen to that old podcast, episode 50, at horrorguys.com/HG050.
Okay.
Easy to find podcast schemes there.
Nice.
Or go to horrorguyspodcast.com and do a little search for it. It's there too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, enough of that. Jeepers, creepers,
where'd you
get those peepers. That's all the words I know, because I've never really listened to the song before.
Plus, we don't want to get shut down for a copyright violation. It's probably still under copyright.
Oh,
song.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it must be, because there was issues in part 4, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about later.
Uh-huh. So this was directed and written by Victor Salva.
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
You're not allowed to say the V word?
He has been very canceled.
Yeah, and yet this work remains.
Yeah, I guess there's no way to avoid this one. Is he convicted or just accused, or what was his deal?
Lots of accused. I don't think he did any time.
He has been accused of being a very
Ugliness.
serious pedophile and bad things.
Ugliness, yeah.
Yeah, Hollywood is not going to be giving him any more movies to be making.
If you look him up, you can easily find what the
Yeah.
issues were, and there were issues. And many people think that that he should never be spoken of, and the salt.
A lot of people
salt the
refuse
soil
to go
where
see part 4
where he walked
because
so
of
that nothing
him.
will ever grow. And yeah.
Yes, because he gets some kind of royalties or licensings from the characters. People did not want to go see part 4 after they learned all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, he's a terrible person and probably deserves to be locked up if he's not.
But boy, he made a good movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's they're good. It's a whole good series for the most part.
Well, yeah.
Well, the first 3 are good.
First couple especially.
Well, the one he wasn't involved with was the bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well. Yeah. Written and directed by Victor Salva. First one here from 2001 stars Gina Phillips, Justin Long, and Jonathan Breck. Hour and 30 minutes. Spoiler-free, what happens?
Well, this was really good after a third viewing.
Now, I've seen it probably 3 or 4, yeah.
I think that was actually my 4th viewing.
Okay.
It's got an interesting monster, creepy situations, suspense, and scares. The effects are really good and still hold up, and overall, a really big thumbs up.
Yeah, I very much like the first ones.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. First one was good. Second one was also very good. Not quite as innovative. The third one was decent.
And the 4th one was, yeah.
I wouldn't swear that I've seen the third one. I know I hadn't seen the 4th one before.
I'd never seen the 3rd one.
I don't think so either.
I'd seen the first one multiple times and the second one a couple times.
Well, there's like a 15-year gap in the middle. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay. Well, Trish and her brother Derry are taking a road trip in their classic car. They're taking the long way through the country, but Trish won't say why. There's some family drama going on there. As they banter back and forth, a big creepy truck comes up behind them. As the maniac passes, they try to figure out his vanity license plate. BEATNGU.
Beating you.
Beating you?
Mm-hmm.
Trish remembers some people that went missing not too far from here. They pass the creepy truck and see a guy taking what kind of looks like a dead body wrapped and tied in a sheet and dumping it in a pipe.
Could be.
And this might be a good point to mention that this original story was influenced by a true story.
Yeah, you can check that out.
This old couple was driving down the road and saw a guy dumping a dead body into a pipe.
Well, or just a sheet or something. They saw
something
suspicious. Yeah.
And it turned out to be a serial killer, and he killed them both.
No.
No?
No.
No?
No, not quite that involved.
All right.
The guy had killed his wife, but was dumping the sheet or some evidence down a pipe, and this couple saw it, and he had a van, and supposedly loosely inspired.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was, a
but he
monster
wasn't a
that came
killer.
back every 23 years?
No, he killed his wife.
Oh, all right.
And they caught him.
Well, they pass the creepy truck, and they see him dumping the body, and then the pair talk about that body in the pipe. Derry thinks he wants to go back, but Trish wants to find a police station. They decided to go back themselves, which was their biggest mistake, probably.
Probably.
The building is an old boarded-up church covered in crows. They find the big pipe sticking up out of the ground, and Derry goes over to check it out. It smells terrible, but they can't see anything down there. Derry hears someone moaning down there. Trish yells, "You know the part in scary movies when someone does something stupid? This is it." And then Derry falls in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Justin recovered. Justin.
You called him Justin here.
Derry recovers from his fall and finds a body wrapped in a sheet. It's a still living boy who has been sewn up after a very clumsy-looking surgery. The boy says, "Hide," before he dies. Derry looks around and finds numerous other bodies and surgical implements. He looks up and finds the whole ceiling is covered with corpses, 2 of whom are the people that Trish was talking about earlier. Got like the Sistine Chapel of corpses here.
All sewn up and stuck to the walls.
Well, he finds his way out, makes it to the car, and the 2 go looking for help. They stop at a diner for gas and run into the creepy truck parked there. They get a phone call from a woman who describes them and asks if they have seen the cats yet. What? Don't know.
Not
Well,
yet.
she knows all about the creeper. She's not sure if it's a demon or a devil or what it is, but she knows it can't stop. She warns him about the song, Jeepers Creepers. When you hear that song, you're gonna die.
Bad things.
The police arrive, and they don't believe most of the story. Trish also doesn't quite believe most of it. She thinks Derry's just in shock. The policeman says the missing dead people would have been decomposed long ago, but Derry says they're preserved somehow. Someone then spots a strange man sniffing the laundry in their car. The police are halfway convinced now and follow the teens to the old church, but the radio reports that the church is now on fire. It doesn't matter anyway, since the cops don't survive the drive. They watch the creeper pick up the cop's head and take a bite out of it. Meat.
Juicy.
Trish and Derry drive away as the creeper loads the bodies onto his truck. The duo stops at an old house to call for more police. Isn't that a zombie joke?
Mm-hmm.
More cops.
And more cops.
They walk past a weird scarecrow and talk to a cat lady who doesn't have a phone.
The cats. They found the cats.
Yeah, she doesn't like police because they try to tell her how many cats she can have. Suddenly the power goes off and all the cats start growling in the dark. Oh, wait, that wasn't a scarecrow on that pole.
No, that wasn't.
The old woman comes out with a shotgun. She shoots the creeper, but he can fly or leap or something, and the creeper gets into the house and starts messing with her cats, so she charges inside to die. Trish and Derry finally get a look at the creeper, and he is a literal monster, not just a murderer. They had thought it was just some guy before.
Well, and he is dressed in a coat and hat, impersonating a person.
He's quite a stylish monster.
He does try to be, yeah.
They run him over with their car multiple times. They watch the now legless creature sprout wings and try to fly away. Then they run over him again.
Yeah, he don't get away.
Yeah. They make it to the next police station, and Giselle storms in.
But at least the monster's dead, right?
Right.
Yeah.
She's the woman who phoned them earlier, and she's a psychic. She knows everything that's been going on from her dreams. She tells them every 23rd spring, for 23 days, it gets to eat. It only eats certain things from certain people. It only eats the body parts that it needs. Lungs to breathe, eyes to see, plus extra to be stronger. She thinks it's eaten so many hearts that it can't ever be killed.
Ew.
Okay, so there's a story.
Ew.
We see the creeper outside the police station, limping along on one leg with only one arm. Suddenly, the power goes out. It eats one of the prisoner's arms and legs. And he's whole again.
Mm-hmm.
Neat trick.
Hard to kill.
Giselle, Derry, and Trish listen as the cops downstairs battle and lose. The creeper ignores Giselle, but grabs both Trish and Derry. He sniffs and licks them both very carefully, and then chooses Derry. Well, you should always choose Derry. It's good for you.
I don't like Derry. Derry doesn't like me.
Trish tries to talk the creature into trading for her, but no, the thing sprouts wings, flies out the window with Derry, and vanishes into the night. The next morning, Giselle talks to Trish. Elsewhere, we see the creeper in his new lair as Jeepers Creepers plays on an old phonograph. There's lots of screaming as the creeper makes use of Derry's eyes.
Where'd you get those eyes?
I got them from Derry.
Derry's head.
Yes, there's controversy about the problems with the director, but this is really good. The monster's interesting, the situation is fairly believable, the acting is good, and we don't get much in the way of explanation for any of it. Later films added a lot of the lore to the creeper, but he's just sort of a big mystery here. This was Justin Long's first horror film, and he'd only had small roles in a couple of other things before this, and he's gone on to a long history of horror films.
And since then, if you see Justin Long in a horror movie, something bad's going to happen to him.
I don't know that he ever survives.
Well, he survived in Drag Me to Hell, but he was thoroughly traumatized. Sorry, I spoiled the ending of Drag Me to Hell. Justin Long survives.
Well, I don't think he was ever at risk.
He wasn't the main target.
He wasn't the one, yeah. All right. Well, the creeper makeup and prosthetics look really well done. He's sort of halfway between a man, a lizard, and a gargoyle. We haven't done that Gargoyles movie from the 70s. We got to do that one of these days.
Okay.
Those things are iconic. You've seen that, haven't you?
No, I don't think I have.
Never saw Gargoyles?
I never saw Gargoyles.
Oh, it used to be on TV all the time.
Yeah. Wasn't it a cartoon?
Oh, that unrelated.
A cartoon version? Okay, I'm thinking of something different then.
Well, you know what a gargoyle is. Those big stone monster things.
Yeah.
This was a movie from the 70s where they lived in a cave out in the country, and I don't know, I think they were hibernating for decades or something, and finally all woke up.
Okay. No, I didn't see that.
Okay, we're going to have to put that on our list.
Okay.
Jeepers Creepers 2!
2 years later.
2003, written and directed by Victor Salva. Stars Ray Wise, so you know it's going to be good.
Uh-huh.
Jonathan Breck as the monster again. Giriaki Mutambirwa and Eric Nenninger.
And a whole lot of people in their 20s playing teenagers.
Yeah, yeah. Hour and 44 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free. This is a great sequel to the first movie, taking place only a matter of days after the first film. You wouldn't have to see the first one to appreciate this one, but we think you'd get more out of it if you did. It's really well done, with a good story and excellent special effects. I remember when this came out, everybody said, oh, it's not as good as the first one.
It's mighty good.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as good as the first one.
Not as good.
But Halloween 2 is not quite as good as Halloween 1 either, but they're both good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens?
Well, we are reminded every 23 years for 23 days it gets to eat, and this is day 22. On the family farm, Jack Taggart Sr. yells at Billy to get the scarecrow up straight, as the crows are thick this year. And the old man blames Jack Jr. for messing up the post hole digger. The dog barks at the cornfield. There's something out there. And this is a situation, Billy's way out in the field working on the scarecrows, and Dad and Big Brother are back at the barn. So they can sort of see and hear each other, but it's a long ways apart. Well, Billy doesn't see the weird scarecrow at the end looking at him, at least not right away.
Always watch out for the weird scarecrow.
Yeah. And I think this scene was made even more terrifying because it's broad daylight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So darkness, daylight isn't going to save you from the creeper. Billy runs, but the creeper is fast and he can fly, or at least really hop. He's got the grasshopper thing going after him.
And, I think he's just plain. Yeah, he can do that,
yeah.
But he's definitely got wings.
Yes, yeah.
Nice looking wings too.
Yeah. The Jacks run through the cornfield to help, but the creeper flies away with his prize.
Bye, Billy.
Yeah. We cut to a school bus full of people way too old to be high schoolers, but we'll suspend disbelief just this one time because everything else in the movie, makes perfect sense. Well, it's day 23 now. Something breaks on the bus, and they're stranded. There's a big bone weapon with teeth stuck in the tire. They're going to have to call a mechanic to change it. And we hear radio news about police excavating the corpses under a church. The one from the first film is on the news now. And that was only a few days ago. Some of the bodies there were over 200 years old. Jack Jr. finds a knife carved out of bone out in the field, and it literally throws itself. Father and son get the idea and start getting ready for a fight. They're going to go hunt this creeper. Well, back on the road, the bus driver decides to limp the bus back to town, just driving slowly on one flat. And some of the team debate Izzy's sexuality.
Is he or isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
That whole plot line really doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it was just banter, and there was a lot of bantering and bullying and teasing and various things going on the bus.
It's high school.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah. Well, it gets dark, and there is sports team drama from Scotty. Minxie, one of the girls on the bus, dreams about Derry from the first film. He's pointing at something in the cornfield.
She has no idea who he is. She's never met him.
No.
Just a weird random dream.
And she watches out the window in her dream as the creeper throws another bone thing and flattens another tire. And this really happens as she's dreaming it.
Yeah, that's real.
It was a neat effect. and they aren't going anywhere this time. Well, one of the coaches suddenly gets taken straight up.
Pew!
Yeah. Several kids see it happen when the bus driver goes next. They all get back in the bus for safety. And the third and final adult gets pulled out of the bus, and they all see that. Well, back at the farm, Jack listens to various police calls on the radio. Scott and Izzy find javelins and a flare gun on the bus. Scott wants to make for a nearby farmhouse to find a phone. They can look out the window and see a fence, so they know there's got to be a farm somewhere close by. And there's some homophobic and racist stuff as Scotty argues with pretty much everyone. The creeper returns. He smells something he likes on the bus, and it smiles at them.
That's a cool scene. He's
That
like
is.
out the window, and he's like licking the glass and ogling and making
Sniffing 'em.
faces. And
Pointing to which one he wants.
yeah.
Yeah.
You? No.
No, behind you. Yeah, that one. Well, Minxie has another vision, this time seeing the Taggart farm and the scarecrow. Derry is there again. He knows about the 23 years and 23 days because he's part of it now. And then she wakes up. She understands why the creeper is there. It's picking out dinner and spare parts. And she tells him and tries to convince him of this. Well, the creeper returns and gets a javelin through his skull, which he pulls out very slowly and very theatrically. And with half his head gone, the creeper flies away. And now he's just building speed before he plummets back down on top of the bus, pretty much destroying it. Well, the students want out, but they can't get the doors open now. And as the creeper awakes, one of the students goes headless, and the creeper gets a new head. Even his head is replaceable.
He eats the guy's head, and then you see his head change into the student, and then the head just slowly turns into the creeper. It's like
it's a neat effect.
it's a refill.
Yeah. Rhonda sticks her head out the window and watches the creeper tear his own head off and throw it away, and then he does the head trick with the new one. Minxie thinks that it only has 1 day left, so if they can hold out till morning, they'll be all right. Never mind all that. They all go outside and run for it, which goes very badly for Scotty.
Finally.
That's one of those, you don't have to be the fastest, just don't be the slowest.
Yeah, but he was the fastest.
He was, yeah, it didn't matter. Yeah. But they're all trying. Jack and Jackie find Minxie running down the road. She says, "You can't kill it," but Big Jack disagrees. The creeper returns to the school bus to grab Bucky, but Jack arrives before he can get any more kids. Jack has got a big harpoon gun mounted on the back of his truck made from the post puncher. He fires, and it hits the creeper, who tries to fly away but can't because there's a cable attached, just like a Whalen. And the creeper flies and drags the heavy pickup truck behind him, but Jack starts to reel the creeper in like a big fish. Creeper sends the harpoon back to Jackie Jr. Jack reloads for another shot. He hits again, this time right through the school bus, and it's not going to pull that away. Except
Oh, yeah, it does.
he does. Oh, yeah. Very graphically. There's some action and violence in this one. Izzy finds Rhonda and DeAndre, and they find another of the creeper's victims. The exterminator is gone, but his van with the big bug on top is still there. The creeper shows up. The truck doesn't last long, but neither do his wings, arm, or leg. Creeper's pretty well beat up, but he's still after the injured DeAndre. Jack arrives just in time to save DeAndre again, harpooning the monster this time right through the forehead. And then Jack stabs it about 1,000 times, but it still won't die.
Over and over and over.
Well, the sun comes up, and it wraps itself up into a cocoon. It looks dead to me, Jack finally admits. But apparently it was just because its time ran out.
Hibernating time.
Yeah. Well, years pass. A bunch of kids drive up to Taggart Farm. They want to see it. Well, the now much older Jack Jr. runs the farm now. He charges them $5 to see the bat out of hell. And they go into the barn, see the creeper still in his cocoon, mounted up on the wall of the barn. And now old man Jack Sr. sits there waiting with another harpoon gun pointed at it and a rifle on his lap. It's been 23 years now, and he knows it's coming. In about 3 more days, give or take a day or two.
Sequel time.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think they were originally going to call this Bat Out of Hell, but they decided not to. Just go with the straight up number 2. Mm-hmm. Not all sequels are good, but this one is a worthy sequel to the original. Who knew that being trapped on a school bus could be so entertaining? The bus is claustrophobic, and the students ramp up the suspense just right without being too annoying. There is student drama, but not excessively. Mm-hmm. The creature makeup is actually better here than in the original, and they make a lot of use of the creature's wings and flying. The special effects of the creature flying are really well done. I think that may have been the best part of this, since watching him fly around.
It was very cool.
The year this takes place is surprisingly vague, so the creeper could make another appearance at any time. And that's something you notice here. In all these movies, people drive old cars.
They keep it generic.
Although they do have some technology, police radios and cell phones in some of them. And
yeah, so it's clearly not that old time, but they do keep it vague. They tone down the references.
This could have taken the first 2 movies could have taken place in the 1950s or early 60s, or it could be modern with just old vehicles. We don't know.
They tone it down.
They do
very well. Yeah.
And then we watched a short film, unrelated to anything.
What?
Final Gasp.
Final Gasp.
Written and directed by David E. Teixeira. Stars Caterina Carvalho and Sergio Mocco. 11 minutes. There's an IMDb link in the show notes. What happens?
So this IMDb link, you can't see it yet?
It's a festival thing.
Oh, okay. So make a note of it and see it, out there when you can. Because this was a good one.
Much like Skinamarink, it's mostly just at the festivals right now. I'm sure it'll be widely releasing soon.
Mm-hmm. Lindsay shares an apartment with 2 roommates. She's playing the piano. They're both gone, yet she wonders if someone is watching her. She tries to practice, but the neighbor or something won't stop knocking on the wall. And then she gets a notification that she needs to take a pill, just a reminder kind of thing. And she gets a package delivery with no label. Well, could it be for one of her roommates? What's in the box? Why would someone send her that?
Mysteries.
Yeah.
Well, something I found was very distracting on this one. Whenever a character in a horror film is seen taking a pill, you immediately start wondering if they're hallucinating the rest of the story. It happens so often. They're schizophrenic. Is it real or isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because, being off their meds is a really common trope in horror shows. That may or may not be the case here, and it probably isn't, but the doubt was always there, which made it interesting for me. Mm-hmm. The acting and direction here are really good, but the standout thing with this one might be the music. It's perfect for the story. It's simple, but with enough variety to make it interesting.
Very much so.
She plays this little tune on the piano, and then you hear it throughout the story. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, liked it.
Keep your eye out for that one.
Yeah, Final Gasp.
Speaking of keeping eyes out, we're back to Jeepers Creepers,
Where'd you get them peepers?
Up to episode 3 from 2017. So it's took them 14 years to make this one.
Uh-huh.
Written and directed by Victor Salva again. Stars Stan Shaw, Gabriel Howe, Brandon Smith. Hour and 41 minutes. Spoiler free. This was another worthy sequel to the first. It's a little more action-oriented.
And the second one led you to believe that it might, take place 23 years later.
It didn't.
That's not the case.
No. This takes place between the first 2 movies.
Uh-huh.
So everything we've seen so far is in one period.
Yeah.
It smoothly takes place between the first and second movies. You could watch them in order, 1, then 3, then 2, or just do it, the way they came out. It's all fine. Mm-hmm. There's a little more weapons action and supernatural elements in this one, but it's still very entertaining, just like the first 2 were.
And it's, an immediate spoiler. Whatever they do to the creeper, they're not going to get him because he comes back and goes after the bus.
Well, what they did to him in number 2 movie seemed pretty thorough. If that's not going to kill him, what is?
No, I mean in this movie.
Oh, well, yeah, that too, yeah. We know he's still alive at the end of this movie because of the second one.
Yeah.
What happens?
Well, we see someone running from one of the creeper's bone shurikens. Just as he's about to flag down a truck, someone grabs him from above and flies away. Mm-hmm.
A lot of that in these movies.
Yeah. 23 years later, the police find the creeper's corpse-filled truck left over from the first film, where it ended. Sheriff Dan arrives, and he recognizes the truck. The sergeant fills us in on the deaths at the police station and Derry's kidnapping at the end of the first film. The truck is filled with all sorts of deadly booby traps.
First time we've seen that.
Mm-hmm. While the sheriff checks out the damage at the station, someone tows away the evil truck. Dan knows that this has all happened before. Meanwhile, on the tow truck, the creeper arrives. He wants his truck back. Well, the truck drives itself as the creeper rides on top.
This one makes the truck almost a character by itself.
Yes.
And it is a cool truck.
It is, yeah. The sheriff knows all about the creeper. All we can do is follow the birds. Ravens and crows travel when it does. He ran into it 23 years ago, and they remember each other.
Yeah. There was a pre-credit, the pre-credit thing where the guy got taken up. He was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the next morning, Galen Brandon talks to Kenny. He's her dead son, who warns her she's coming back. There's a piece of it buried there. And he knows this because he's part of it now.
Just like Derry.
Yeah. He wants her to save herself and Addison. Addison, meanwhile, watches her crazy grandmother talking to no one out in the field. Galen tells Addison she should go away for a few days, just in case. But she's not having it. Meanwhile, Sheriff Dan assembles a group of local people who have run into the creeper in the past. And did you notice they even had
little logos,
patches on their jacket? Yeah, kind of an organized anti-creeper militia. They were ready.
A lot of people know about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've been preparing. One of the men has a supercharged Gatling gun mounted on his pickup truck. Sergeant Davis needs some convincing that all of this isn't some crazy nonsense. He's from the first movie. He was with the cops that got killed, and he saw the attack on the police station.
I guess he was. I didn't really notice him in the first movie, but I think he was the same actor. I think he really was there.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So he's hooked up with these people new to this, but Well, Addison goes to the Mathers farm to get some hay for her beloved horse, and they haven't got enough money to pay for it. Beth Mathers says her brother Kirk has a rabbit in a trap and likes to torment the rabbits. They don't have any hay, so Addison has to go see the Hooks, except at the Hooks store they don't have any credit left. But Buddy Hooks has a crush on her.
Blah, blah, blah. Isn't there a monster in this somewhere?
Yeah, eventually. Well, Kirk, the kid with the rabbit, and his biking friends come across the creeper's truck in a field. They know the story about the 23-year thing, but it's just a story, urban legend kind of thing. And they know the name of the license plate, too. They're kind of creeped out, but they don't find it that simple when they try to break the windows. They think, we'll just vandalize it. Well, they're smash-proof windows. The back door opens, and they find bodies. They luckily avoid the door's booby trap, but not the bone harpoon. The creeper arrives, again in broad daylight, throws a spear through two of Kirk's friends.
Okay, again, this happens after the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all these kids know about the 23-year demon.
Mm-hmm.
The town militia knows about the 23-year demon.
None of the kids on the bus in the third movie knew about the demon.
Derry and Trish were driving through town from who knows where. They weren't locals. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
All the kids in the bus and the Jack Jr. and Sr. that have lived there right on that spot for all their lives didn't know anything about it either.
Mm-hmm. They're a little inconsistent about that.
Yeah, this is not a local legend if, that many people do and don't know about it.
Yeah.
It should be more public knowledge or a complete secret.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah. Well, Buddy catches up with Addison, has some hay for her, bought with his own money from the business against his father's opinion. They return to the Addison farm, find the old lady Galen digging in the field. Sheriff Dan calls for Galen. He knows she was involved 23 years ago as well. Galen finds what she's looking for, a clawed, severed hand. It grabs her hand and lifts her right off the ground, and her eyes turn white.
And I thought she was going to be possessed or something at this
That's
point.
what I was expecting. Yeah, she was going to become a new creeper.
Turns out she's just having a vision.
Yeah. Buddy and Addison go to the farm, a different farm, to deliver hay for others. And those people there, this ones still surviving, are hiding under their vehicles. Something in the air has been attacking them. And they soon encounter the monster, who smells them and likes Addison. And after some fighting and drama, the creeper grabs her and flies away with her. Uh-oh.
Dinner time.
Yeah. Well, the sheriff and the sergeant come to the Galen farm, and she already knows it's back. We get a flashback showing us how Kenny got the cloth 23 years ago and buried it in the field. And when she touched the hand, she understood what it is and how it came to be. Addison and Kirk wake up in the back of the Creeper-mobile, and they cut themselves loose of their bindings. Kirk finds another booby trap the hard way.
Ow.
Yeah, that was an owie one. Well, the sheriff and his men converge on the Galen farm to deal with the claw. This is the Creeper militia. This isn't probably really official business. I think they're doing their own kind of project. Well, they all hold on to Dan as he touches the claw. His eyes turn white. He has the vision as well. And he can't explain much after, but he says it's much older and bigger than anyone knew. It's ancient. Buddy cries to his dad about what happened and then joins the others. The sheriff and the sergeant catch up to the Creeper's truck, except the truck is not only unshootable, but it drops like landmines out of the bottom.
Like organic bone landmines.
Yeah. And bullets fired back at the truck reflect back toward the shooter, which is, they realize, and here's a problem. This guy with the super-duper Gatling gun is heading head-on toward the truck, ready to open fire with his Gatling gun, and they can't reach him by radio. And that goes badly for the Gatling gun guy and the driver and his truck. But it's not completely destroyed, because Sheriff Dan is able to man the crashed Gatling gun after all the cars crash and use it on the Creeper, who is now on foot. And he approaches the sheriff, gun shoots him full of lead, but it still doesn't stop the Creeper in time. Sheriff gets it.
It explains why his outfit was so full of holes in the second movie.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering.
Yeah. Well, Galen buries the claw back on the hill and waits with her gun. Kenny warns her that she can't stop the Creeper. Buddy shows up, tells what happened to Addison. Well, the Creeper comes for Addison in the truck still, and she uses the truck's booby traps against him. He loses an eye and a wing, but he still comes after her. The creature goes out on the highway and gets hit by a semi-truck, and soon the Creeper has two eyes again. That poor truck driver. The Creeper gets his claw back and screams. The screams make the crows fall from the sky. But Buddy rescues Addison. And the next morning, Buddy comes to see Addison. Buddy puts on his yellow team jacket and boards the school bus to go to the big game.
Oh,
the one from the second movie. And in one final scene, Trish from the first film swears to be ready for the Creeper when he reappears.
Okay.
And that's another point, like you were talking about with people not knowing about the Creeper.
Buddy ought to know all about it.
In the second movie, these kids on the bus don't know anything about this Creeper. He should be clearly able to fill them in.
Well, they were coming back from the game. Maybe Buddy went to the game and didn't come home for some reason.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't remember a character named Buddy on that second movie.
Yeah, that could be.
What was the claw about? He didn't need that claw.
Who, the Creeper?
The Creeper.
No.
Everybody kept saying he's going to come back for it. He's going to come. Why?
Because he was covering his trail. Because anybody that touched it would know more about him. And
all right.
Could potentially find weaknesses or know how his power works.
Okay. This takes place between the first and the second films. Everyone drives antique cars to keep the time period vague, but Kirk and his friends have cell phones, so this couldn't be too far back. They didn't have cell phones in the first two movies. They did here.
Yeah, they did.
We see the Creeper outside a lot in the daytime, and we also see him using a police scanner to know what the cops are up to. Actually, we might see too much of the Creeper here. I'm not sure that having the majority of the film shot in the daylight was a great idea. Most of the attacks in the second movie were at night, and they were really good.
Yeah, I think it was still good. Yeah.
I like that they brought back the creepy truck from the first film. That was an important part of what made that one so good, and this time they added some magic to the truck. This film, however, didn't show the Creeper doing much flying as the second film did, which was kind of disappointing. He did, but it was mostly, people just standing around and going boom as it disappeared.
Gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They added a good amount of lore to the Creeper without still giving too much away. We see a lot more supernatural stuff than we did in the first two films, but considering the probably demonic nature of the Creeper, that's okay here. Still liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd both only seen that one just this once.
So he's been doing this for a long time, probably back in the day.
He's
horse and carriage and, back.
Oh, yeah, I want to see the Creeper Mobile from 1800.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, then, that was in 2017. In 2022, just a month or so ago, Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
So we can't spoil this one completely.
Yeah,
but
we don't really want to. It's not as good.
It's certainly not, no.
Directed by Timo Voronsola.
The director.
Wow, what? Different director.
Yeah, different director, different writer, different actor playing the Creeper, different makeup people. Yeah, all in all, it wasn't as good.
Written by Sean Michael Argo, stars Sidney Craven, Imran Adams, and Giro Benjamin, hour and 28 minutes. Spoiler free, what happens?
Well, this one was a step down in quality from the first three.
Yeah.
Yep, different actors playing the Creeper, and they redid how he looks and eased him more into kind of a Jason from Friday the 13th kind of killer, more than the Creeper. I mean, I thought there was some, I don't know, made him more humanized, less a monster, more kind of a serial killer kind of thing. I didn't like it. It wasn't hugely that way. I mean,
it wasn't terrible, but
it wasn't terrible.
Didn't feel right.
But a lot of it just didn't feel right. It's a less scary story with some elements that don't make much sense. We didn't hate it, but it was a disappointment.
If you haven't seen the first three in a while, go ahead and watch this one. You'll probably like it. But watching them in a row, boy, this fourth one's way different.
And did you know the license plate doesn't stand for beating you? It's be eating you.
At some point, I thought they spelled that out and I actually said that, but I didn't catch it in any of these this time.
I think they do at some point. They realize it's not beating you. One of the characters, I can't remember which one, might have been Derry.
I thought it was in the first one, but I did not specifically hear it.
I can't specifically recall when it was, but I want to say one of the characters realizes it. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not beating you, it's eating you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ronald and Marie, an old couple, drive through the countryside in the afternoon. A big truck with the license plate, Be Eating You, comes up beside them. It's not the same truck as in the other movies, but it's got the same horn. They pass the truck later and see the driver dumping a body into a pipe near an old church. The truck pursues them and runs them off the road. See, at this point, I thought maybe they had lost the rights to the first movie, so they were giving us sort of a different recap.
Yeah,
but no, this is actually from 23 years before. This is the story of those old people that I told you about in real life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's the same. Supposed to be the same characters.
Yeah.
Ronald then writes down the license number to call the police when he gets the chance. As they return to the road, they see the Creeper change his license plates to something more generic. Ronald wants to return to that church and see what was in the pipe. They arrive there at the church, and we can see that this is all before the first film. They check out the pipe, and Marie screams. Well, we pull out and see that this is really just an unsolved mystery show on the internet. They have internet in this one, so it's not super ancient.
On a smartphone.
Yeah. Leanne and Chase are watching it on their phone. This happened 20-something years ago, and she laughs at his gullibility for watching these silly shows, but he's into all the creepy monster stuff like Mothman and the Jeeper Creeper.
Mm-hmm.
Chase tells her the story of the 23-year legend. Didn't they make 3 of those creepy creeper movies or something like that, she says? Yeah, so it's a well-known story at this point.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually 23 years after the third movie. It's the next time around.
Yes, it definitely is.
Uh-huh.
The pair are on their way to a horror convention, but the location doesn't seem to be on any map. You know, that's really not a great place for a convention if it's not on the map.
It's a secret convention. Weird way to do it.
Well,
it's not your typical convention either.
No.
Well,
we see that Chase is planning to propose to Lane sometimes very soon. Elsewhere, we see a withered, filthy, half-dead looking creeper crawling in the dirt and pulling his own skin off. Waking up after 23 years is apparently pretty rough.
Yeah, he's looking rough.
Yeah, we haven't seen him fresh before.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, one of Lane's friends, calls Lane and she says that she's probably pregnant. He gets out of the car to go pee, and the newborn creeper eats his face. Breakfast.
And the creeper's feeling a little better now.
Lane stops in at a creepy antique store and gets creepy directions from a creepy psychic proprietor who calls someone after they leave and says, "We have a tree bearing fruit." Chase wants to cosplay for the convention, but Lane pretends to be disinterested. He turns on the TV, and they're doing a show from the convention. Lane and Chase arrive at the Horror Hound convention, and we see a weird preacher out front talking about sinners. That doesn't go anywhere either, does it?
No, it didn't.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wonder why they put that in there.
I don't know.
Kevin said this Horror Hound gathering was really just a ghetto horror renfest, not a convention. And yeah, it seems like it's just a bunch of people standing around cosplaying. And
if you've ever been to a Renaissance festival, you know how it's kind of set up in the
booths and stuff.
In a field with booths and stuff, and it's a little bit ramshackle, and and that's how this was. Yeah.
Yeah, not a convention. They
It
weren't
wasn't
showing
a convention
films or
in a
anything.
building, or it was organized, but
No celebrities, just cosplayers.
Yeah, not a real convention like you'd think of at a convention center.
We see the Creeper walking around just outside the grounds. Well, there's a throwing game, and one of the weapons is one of the Creeper's shurikens. Lane finds it disturbing. The guy in the booth says, oh, they're reproductions, of course, because the Creeper is only a legend, right?
Right.
No. Lane gets a vision from handling one of them, of a cult with her involved. At midnight, they have a Creeper draw. Madame Carnage is the master of ceremonies, and the grand prize is an escape room for two that's Creeper-themed. Lady Manila draws for the winner, and we see that she's the creepy psychic from earlier. Guess whose name she draws? Yep, we saw her rig the drawing earlier. So anyway, Chase and Lane win the prize with spending the night in the Creeper House as an internet show. Didn't one of the Halloween movies do the same thing?
One of the Halloween movies did the same thing.
Jamie, the producer, is coming along to film everything with Michael, Carey, and Stu. They leave for the prize as the Creeper knocks out all the Wi-Fi for the convention by knocking the tower over with his truck. The Creeper then heads into convention with his weapons. That's the end of that convention.
Should it be the end of our synopsis, too? We don't want to give away too much.
Brand
new
As
movie.
the group walks to the haunted house, cameraman Michael gets eaten. The Creeper swoops in from somewhere and grabs Lane. Chase tries to convince the others what happened, but they don't believe him. Then they find Michael's body, and they believe that. So yeah, there's a haunted house with the Creeper now.
And a cult.
And a cult.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And Lane's pregnant. Like the Creeper wants the baby. Or they're
The Creeper wants Lane's baby. Mm-hmm. There's a cult involved. And somehow or another, this haunted house has something to do with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Creeper goes to the haunted house, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Creeper has been redesigned to look like a cross between a giant gremlin and a burn victim. You know the evil gremlin in the first movie with the little spikes on his jaw?
I do remember.
You saw the resemblance.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Nope, didn't like the redesign.
No.
They didn't want to pay for the rights to the original Jeepers Creepers song, which was in the first movie at least. So they made up a new one with no tune whatsoever. This guy's blah, 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 Jeepers Creepers, blah, 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 Jeepers Creepers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's not a real song.
Yeah, in the first one they had the Jeepers Creepers, the old classic
song. The very
song,
old one, yes.
And they also had Peep Show by Susie and the Banshees, which mentions, Jeep Show, Creep Show.
That was in a movie?
Peepers. That was in the first one.
Was it?
Yeah, so they
I didn't catch that.
They splurged for the royalties on 2 songs, at least, in the first movie.
Yeah, I don't know how much a movie song that came out in like the 1920s or something. How much could the royalties be?
It must still be out there, yeah.
Well, anyway, most outdoor sets are done on a soundstage here, and it all looks very artificial.
Looks like a lot of green screen.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There's way too much CGI here that is far too noticeable. It was very obvious, but it did kind of give the outdoor scenes an interesting look. A little oversaturated, a little too colorful. So it was kind of okay, although it didn't fool me.
It was okay. It was.
The movie, however, is pretty bad overall. Who takes a monster as interesting as the Creeper and thinks it's necessary to put him in a haunted house film? With cultists, no less. What are the cultists getting out of all this? We never see the cultists interact with him at all.
No. I mean, is it just for kicks because they know about him and they like... But no, the antique proprietor seemed to be genuinely psychic.
Yeah.
So there's some genuine magic going on there. And I don't know. Just what what do they get out of it?
Why did the creeper suddenly want a baby?
If they give him, victims, he won't kill them, I guess, or I don't know. Does he give them power? Yeah, it just makes it.
The whole cultist thing goes nowhere and makes no sense.
Yeah, it's not excellent.
There's a lot here that doesn't make sense.
And I can see why the creeper would want to eat a baby to be revitalizing, because he gets life force from what he eats and
but
who
how
he
hard
eats.
is it to find a baby out in the country?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing's going to stop him if he wants to go into somebody's house and take one.
The way he can hunt and sniff, and he just go get a baby if he needs one. He doesn't need the cultist to point him to one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. A
lot of this fourth movie didn't make sense.
Yeah, and it was displeasing.
I mean, it could be that it's
disappointing.
Like there may be another one in the works or something to continue this one, so it does make sense. But as it stands, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. One very good. One of the best horror movies going.
Yes.
2 also very good.
Mm-hmm.
3 was nice.
3
I liked 3.
Pretty darn good.
4,
very meh.
Yeah.
Very meh.
All right, so pick up our other 2 reviews, Munster Go Home and Skinamarink over at horrorbulletin.com. Sign up while you're there and check out our website, horrorguys.com, for all the reviews. And that's it for this week. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you when?
Next week.
You bet. See
ya.